In our daily lives, we often ask ourselves, can I really trust this person? Are they who they seem to be? Whether in friendships, work relationships, or intimate partnerships, the question of true character has always fascinated and troubled humanity. Carl Gustav Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, devoted much of his work to exploring this question. According to Jung, true character is not revealed through polished words, impressive achievements, or even through actions carefully displayed in public. Instead, it emerges in moments where the unconscious slips past the mask people wear. He identified two powerful reveals that, once understood, allow us to see beyond the surface and understand the authentic self. This article explores these two reveals, shadow mapping and mask maintenance, and how they transform not only the way we see others, but also the way we see ourselves. The persona and the hidden self. Jung introduced the concept of the persona, the psychological mask that each of us wears to function in society. The persona is the role we play, polite, professional, confident, kind, depending on the situation. It is necessary, even healthy, because without it, we would struggle to navigate social expectations. Yet, the persona is not the whole story. Beneath it lies the shadow, the aspects of ourselves we deny, reject, or hide. Some of these traits may be negative: anger, envy, selfishness, but some are also positive, such as creativity, vulnerability, or assertiveness, which we bury because they conflict with our chosen image. No matter how carefully we polish the mask, Jung discovered that two unconscious patterns always leak through. These reveals, our judgments of others and our reactions under stress, are the keys to understanding true character. First reveal: shadow mapping. The first window into character is what Jungians call shadow mapping, paying attention to who and what a person judges harshly. Jung observed that when someone reacts with disproportionate intensity, whether through anger, disgust, or obsessive dislike, it often says more about them than the target of their criticism. Why? Because the traits we reject in ourselves are projected onto others. For example, consider David, a respected architect who prides himself on integrity. At every office meeting, David criticizes his colleague Marcus for being fake and manipulative. His voice sharpens when Marcus is praised, and his jaw tightens when Marcus charms clients. On the surface, David seems to be defending honesty, but Jung would point out that David's intensity reveals a hidden truth. He secretly longs to be more socially adept, more charming. He has disowned this part of himself, labeling it as inauthentic, and now projects his frustration onto Marcus. This is the mechanism of projection, the unconscious transfer of one's disowned qualities onto another person. Jung summarized it succinctly. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Thus, by observing someone's strongest judgments, we glimpse the traits they have buried in their shadow. The harsher the judgment, the closer it points to unresolved aspects of their own psyche. Positive projections. It is important to note that projection does not only occur in negative form. We also project our unlived potential onto those we admire. If you put someone on a pedestal for being bold, creative, or confident, it may be because you possess those very qualities, but have not yet developed them. In this sense, shadow mapping works in two directions. What we despise in others often reveals what we repress, and what we admire in others reflects what we yearn to cultivate. Second reveal: mask maintenance. The second reveal is mask maintenance, the way a person reacts when their carefully constructed image is threatened. Every persona requires psychological energy to uphold. When things go smoothly, people can maintain their chosen role: the calm professional, the charming friend, the responsible leader. But under pressure, when criticized, exposed, or challenged, the mask slips. At that moment, true character is revealed. Take Sarah, a marketing director celebrated for her composure. She prides herself on being the unflappable one in the office. But during a high-stakes client meeting, the client harshly criticizes her team's strategy. Suddenly, Sarah lashes out defensively, blames others, and withdraws emotionally. Her mask of calm professionalism shatters, revealing her deeper struggle with criticism. Jung noted, "The foundation of all mental illness is the unwillingness to experience legitimate suffering." In Sarah's case, the unwillingness to sit with discomfort led to defensive behavior, which exposed her true patterns. The way people react in these unguarded moments is a far better measure of character than their polished image. Do they deflect blame, attack others, or retreat into denial? Or do they pause, reflect, and respond with authenticity? Everyday persona breakdowns. These moments are not limited to crises. They occur in everyday interactions, when someone cuts in line, when feedback stings, when competence is questioned. By paying attention to these small cracks in the mask, we gain insight into someone's capacity for growth, resilience, and authenticity. Integrated individuals, those who have done the inner work Jung called individuation, show a remarkable consistency. Their persona and authentic self align, meaning their public image and private reactions are not at odds. They have accepted their shadow rather than fighting it, which allows them to respond with authenticity even under pressure. The mirror effect: what others reveal about you. Jung emphasized that these reveals are not only about understanding others, they are also mirrors reflecting our own inner life. When you notice yourself judging someone intensely, ask, "What part of me am I rejecting? What quality in them is a disowned part of myself?" Similarly, when your mask slips under pressure, ask, "What fear am I defending against? What truth am I unwilling to accept?" Jung wrote, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." By keeping a shadow journal, writing down what irritates you about others, and reflecting on how those traits may live within you, you turn moments of frustration into opportunities for growth. The ethical use of character insight. Jung also warned against misusing these insights. The temptation to analyze others can become a defense mechanism against looking inward. 3 red flags suggest misuse. 1. Superiority complex, using insights to feel smarter or more evolved than others. 2. Manipulation, exploiting someone's shadow or vulnerabilities for personal gain. 3. Overanalysis, becoming so obsessed with psychology that you lose touch with simple human connection. Instead, Jung advocated what he called an ethical relationship with the unconscious, using psychological insight to foster compassion, not control. The goal is not to expose masks or condemn shadows, but to create safe spaces for authenticity and growth. Practical applications. How can we apply these principles in daily life? In relationships. When your partner's neediness irritates you, consider whether it mirrors your own unmet needs. Approach with curiosity rather than blame. I wonder if this touches something in me too. At work, observe how colleagues handle criticism. Do they deflect blame or reflect thoughtfully? This reveals their capacity for growth and leadership. For self-awareness, track your triggers. Notice patterns in your judgments and defensive reactions. Each one points to an area of your own psyche asking for integration. These practices transform conflicts into opportunities for connection and frustrations into mirrors for self-discovery. Consciousness as a ripple effect. The deeper purpose of Jung's framework is not simply better judgment of others, but the cultivation of consciousness itself. When you recognize your projections, own your reactions, and respond authentically, you break free from unconscious patterns. This authenticity radiates outward. Jung described it as consciousness contagion. Your awareness invites others into greater awareness. By refusing to play into unconscious drama, you inspire those around you to examine their own shadows and defenses. Jung believed this ripple effect contributes to the collective evolution of humanity. As individuals become conscious of their shadows and integrate their authentic selves, society itself transforms. Embracing the discomfort of growth. Jung was clear that this journey is not comfortable. He wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." Seeing our own projections and defenses is humbling, even painful. But this discomfort is productive. It is the birth pangs of authenticity. Over time, as you practice awareness, you create space between trigger and reaction. You respond to others' unconscious projections with compassion rather than defensiveness. You learn to hold paradox, recognizing both your flaws and your strengths, your shadow and your light. The ultimate goal is not perfection, but wholeness. To see clearly, to respond consciously, and to live authentically.